Nothing makes me feel like a bodybuilder like dumbbells. When I think about bodybuilding, the first image that I get in my mind is running the rack. Having a whole wall of dumbbells and just like doing superset after superset, drop set, drop set, drop set, that kind of stuff. Just pure pump work. And in my mind, I've always believed that dumbbells offer something that barbells can't. And that's just that versatility. You can do whatever the hell you want with it. There's a lot of stability requirement for you to handle these individual things in each hand. And so I always thought it's a bodybuilding thing, right? Today, I did some incline 45-degree pressing with a dumbbell. And dumbbells, rather, I should say. I had no reference point. I didn't know how heavy I was going to go. I can't remember the last time I used a pair of dumbbells for pressing, for incline. I've used my pair of dumbbells at home for rowing, but that is basically it. This really made me feel like this is kind of the iconic moment of this block, doing some pressing with dumbbells. And I never planned to do it either. I did my daily squat, comfortable single, and then straight after, like that took me 10 minutes. Straight after, I went to the flat bench, and I decided to up the weight there. I went to 110 kilos so I can get back to the sets of 5, because the last session I did sets of 8, and that's kind of going too high. So I got down to the sets of 5 with 110 kilos this time, and then I did a back off with 80 kilos for a set of 20. And then my plan was to go to the incline barbell bench. But that was being used, so I thought, okay, I can probably wait around 5-10 minutes, or I can just freaking get some dumbbells and do that. And I ended up doing that. And it's a wild feeling, man. Like, I had the shakes on, I had the tremors on. Like, I'm so unconditioned with using a dumbbell in a pressing motion that it was just, yes, it was heavy, but it's also like, there's a lot of requirement for stability. And I felt like a noob using those dumbbells because I have the shakes, and the bar path, or the dumbbell path really, was just all over the place, and I had to kind of catch it every once in a little while because it was going off the groove. But I must say it hits a different type of tissue. I don't know, it just feels different. I felt like it was more of a stretch with dumbbells. So there goes that word again, right? Stretching and bodybuilding is like, straight away you think about the stretch and the contraction when it comes to bodybuilding. And so I felt like there was more stretch, and also I felt like my triceps were getting more involved. So it was overall really, really good. And so then after all of that, I went and I did, the machine's called Decline MTS. I think it's by, is it Hammer Strength? I can't remember what the machines, who made the machine, but it's like supposed to mimic a decline press. So I did that as well. So I went from barbell to dumbbell to machine. I went from flat to incline to decline. So like that's your prototypical, bodybuilding, you hit all planes of motion of pressing. And I did that today. And I gotta say, man, the last session, the last movement that I did was that decline machine. And I don't know, man, maybe it's the work that I did prior to that, but I don't know what it is. But decline is like pure chest. And it's like that lower portion of the chest. It's like really, really strange. Like the contraction that I was getting through the pecs with a decline was unlike anything else, man. Like it's like, I remember back in the day when I first started going to the gym, I don't know whether it was the Arnie popularity or what it was, man. Like this is some 10 years ago. You know how fads go, man. When some influencer or some person, famous person does something, everyone starts to do it. So back then I remember like every single day in the gym, somebody would be doing a decline press, whether it's barbell, whether it's dumbbell. People were crazy about declines. Now I rarely see anybody doing a decline. I don't know what's happened, why people have moved away from it. But today I did that machine. It wasn't even like a proper decline. And it felt like the contractions to the pecs is a lot stronger, man. You can really feel your pecs. Whereas the more you go incline, the more you kind of feel like your shoulders and maybe even triceps when you get really, really inclined to maybe overhead press position. But decline, it's all pecs. Maybe this is why when people arch their back, super, you know, exaggerated arch, people feel like they're stronger, and you're supposed to be stronger in a decline anyway. And so the people arch their back, minimize the range of motion, maximize the musculature that you're using in that decline kind of position because you're so freaking arched, you might as well be doing a decline. Maybe because people are arching so much now that there's no point doing a decline because everyone's freaking doing decline on the flat because of the super arch. I don't know, but I remember back in the day, man, like, you know, all the decline benches were always being used in the gyms that I used to go way back. And I didn't have an understanding back then, but it was just something that I remember that people love to do. And some of the people around me, like my brother-in-law and his mates, they were always like, yeah, decline is the best, man, if you want to get like proper chest activation. So anyway, like I never really did any of that. Like, I mean, I was such a rookie muffin. I didn't really know anything. I didn't know how to squat or deadlift or any of that. So that was kind of my focus. But there you go. That machine was really, you know, really something, man. So maybe next time I could try decline bench. But the one thing I don't like about decline is the freaking blood pooling in your head, man. Because you're basically 45 degrees. Oh, is it 45 degrees or 30 degrees? I don't really know what the decline actually is, those fixed decline benches. But I can imagine your head would just be pooling with blood. And so you're in a decline position, which is already pooling your blood. Now you're supposed to be pressing hard. And so the blood pressure in your head is going to be through the roof. So that's probably not something that I like the sound of, you know, straining upside down. I mean, that's a bit silly from a medical point of view. It's like you don't want to be straining that position. I mean, maybe I'm just, maybe I don't have any grounds to be concerned, but it just makes sense that, I don't know, the blood pooling in the brain is not the best thing. But there's no doubt about the contraction in the chest. So maybe sticking with the machines that are having you sitting upright is probably the best thing to do. You know, I mean, it wasn't really decline. I mean, the machine says decline, so it was, you know, like that. But I feel like the proper decline machine, the proper decline bench is even more decline, if you know what I mean. But yeah, man, like these dumbbells, man, did something for me. So I used 35s, and I know a lot of you guys are gonna be like, that's not very heavy. It's. I mean, I'm very weak with dumbbells for sure. The stability is definitely a problem. But yeah, it's just completely different. Another thing which occurred to me as well, I've been around enough people to know that sometimes dumbbells don't transfer well to barbells in terms of pressing. You know, I've known some people who have had very good dumbbell pressing strength, like we're talking 40s and 45s, and they don't have the best benches. Now, I don't know whether, you know, it's completely different type of contraction or whether it's more arms or what. I don't know what's going on. But just because you get really good with dumbbells might not mean that you're going to get good with barbells. That's been my experience, not personally, but from what I've heard. Because I've seen people, you know, people have bumped into me in the gym and they're like, oh my God, like you're benching 140. That's really impressive. You could probably do lots and lots of dumbbells, you know, like weight, like 45s, 50s. And I'm like, nah, man, like barbells for me are kind of home and safe, and, you know, I feel strong. Dumbbells is another thing. And so the dumbbell people are, you know, telling me, wow, man, you would be going crazy with these dumbbells. And, you know, and I'm on the barbell side. I'm like, man, you'd be amazing over here. So it's kind of like they don't really relate to each other. I don't know why. Maybe I'm wrong with that, but that's kind of been my experience as well. So it's great for bodybuilding and maybe weakness training, but it's not going to carry over perfectly because of like a barbell has you in a different type of contraction, in a different bar path, maybe. I don't quite understand it, but it's something that I've observed, which is interesting. Anyway, guys, appreciate you, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.